Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly rundown where we talk movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. Not with me today is Matt. So you got a solo show of all me. If you like my voice, you're in luck. If you don't like my voice, you're not in luck. All right. Let's get started here with the music section. Start the music section with the Billboard. Start the Billboard with the hot Taylor Swift because she is the only thing on the Billboard right now, with number one being The Fate of Ophelia. At number two, Opal Light. Coming at three, Elizabeth Taylor. At four, Father Figure. At five, Wood. Coming at six, Wish List. At seven, Actually Romantic. At eight, The Life of a Showgirl. At nine, Eldest Daughter. At 10, Cancelled. At 11, Ruin the Friendship. And at 12, Honey. That's right, the top 12 spots are all Taylor Swift. Now, judging by the look of this, it's all in order of the album, except for Opalite, which was number four, but now up to number two, and The Life of a Showgirl, which was last on the track at number 12, but now is up to eight. So we see that people like Opalite and Life of a Showgirl, as well as The Fate of Ophelia. Everything else just kind of falls into place. As for your Billboard 200, your albums chart is, yes, at number one, The Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift. Then everything dropped down from there. At number two, K-pop Demon Hunters, the soundtrack by various artists. At number three, The Problem himself, Morgan Wallen. Going at four, The Drama herself, Cardi B. Hey, rounding out your top five, Man's Best Friend by Sabrina Carpenter. If you didn't like any of those releases, we have any of those albums, we have new releases, starting with Some Like It Hot by Bar Italia, Detour by Boz Scaggs, Sunlight in the Shadows by Miles Kane, Ultraviolet by Nathan Skies, All Is Love and Pain in the Mouse Parade by Of Monsters and Men. Yes, of those monsters and men. We also have And Your Song Is Like a Circle by Skull Crusher. Deadbeat by Tame Impala. Yes, those Tame Impalas. And lastly, From the Pyre by The Last Dinner Party. So, going into some music news, as we discussed last week with Taylor Swift and her big launch, well, we got some official numbers as Life of a Showgirl officially passed Adele's 25, which previously held both benchmarks for debut week in 2015 and debut in sales by officially moving 4 million units in its debut week of release, with 3.5 of those coming in visual sales. Both single week records, which are both single week records for an album released in the modern era, basically since 1991. In addition, in addition to setting those records, while debuting atop the Billboard 200, Life of a Showgirl launched all 12 of its tracks in the top 12, as mentioned for the Billboard Hot 100. This means that The Fate of Ophelia, coming in at number one, becomes Taylor Swift's 13th song to reign atop the charts. And just in case you didn't get enough, she currently announced a partnership with Disney Plus to release a documentary about the Eras tour coming on December 12th. But that's not all, because it will be accompanied by a simultaneous release of a new concert film, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, which is shot at the tour finale in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The documentary series is described as, quote, an intimate look at Taylor's life as her tour made headlines and thrilled fans around the world, spotlighting the performers, family members, and friends. Close quote. Uh, this will show will also include the tour opening acts of Gracie Abrams and Sabrina Carpenter and musical guests Ed Sheeran and Florence Welch. So the first two of the 6 episodes of the documentary will go up for streaming on December 12th, with 2 more episodes after that, and then the final 2 episodes after that, meaning that you get your first 2 episodes on the 12th, your second 2 episodes on the 19th, and then a day after Christmas surprise, the finale, 2 episodes on the 26th. Just so you can keep Taylor Swift in your mind, in your hearts, in your thoughts, under your tree, on your streaming platform, in your ears. She's not going away anytime soon. Anyone who thought she was is sorely mistaken in this case. So yeah, congratulations, Taylor Swift. More records for you. Your trophy's in the mail. All right, I did not listen to anything new, and Matt's not here to tell us what he's listening to. So let's go on to video games, where we start with new releases, including Keeper for the PC and Xbox Series X, Lumo 2 for the PC, PS5, and the Switch, Blood West for the PC, for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, PAX Day for the PC, Ball Cross Pit for the PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and the Switch. Just Dance 2026 edition. Wide release everywhere. You got it. You can play it. And lastly, the big release of the week in video games. It's Pokemon Legends: Z-A for the Switch and the Switch 2. As I previously mentioned, I'm not really have this game on my radar to play. I do see it's getting some pretty good reviews, above 80%, especially on Metacritic. So we'll see how well it trends. Right now, Digimon is just below it at a 78. Once some more reviews hit, maybe that score will drop, but I'm still hesitant on Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, on to video game news. I want to talk about this real quickly. Yes, there are Pokemon leaks currently out there for the roadmap through 2030. Yes, I've technically seen this roadmap and what it entails. But no, I will not be talking about this because we do not deal in rumors, we do not deal in speculation on it, and we do not deal in ruining people's experiences with these game announcements. While I may be ruined myself, I don't feel like other people should be ruined when they do officially announce these games. Because as we've seen, and as I've learned, especially with being a Kingdom Hearts fan, just because they announce a game does not mean that game will actually come out. Just because the game is on the roadmap doesn't mean that game will officially come out. So right now, these are all just leaks and rumors, and we don't deal in leaks and rumors here. What we do deal in, though, is saying goodbye to some very big studio heads. First up, Assassin's Creed franchise boss Marc Alexis Cote has departed Ubisoft after a career spanning more than 20 years. This news comes just 2 weeks after Assassin's Creed's, which is Ubisoft's biggest brand, became operated by Vantage Studios. It's that separate business entity which was formed by Ubisoft with that 25% stake from the Chinese giant Tencent, which, when we talked about it, will oversee all future Assassin's Creed games, all future Far Cry games, and all future Rainbow Six games. So reportedly, Cotier was offered a role as part of Vantage Studios' leadership, but declined that offer. Did not state why he declined, but I would assume that he did not want to be a part of working with the Tencent management with it. Also, he would not be the director or the lead in charge, and it'd be Assassin's Creed by committee. It'd be Far Cry by committee, and it's going to be Rainbow Six by committee now. So, understandably, why he would want to step away because it got bigger than him and it got away from what he wanted as his vision. Also, 20 years at Ubisoft is a really long time. But also departing, but this time over at Rare Studios, is Greg Mayles, who, as he had posted onto social media on Tuesday, that he had completed his final day at the company, where he helmed and been the director of such titles as, maybe you've heard of them, Donkey Kong Country and its sequel, Banjo-Kazooie and its sequel, Grabbed by the Ghouls, and Viva Pinata. So when Rare was purchased by Microsoft, he also designed Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, Connect Sports, and he served as the creative director for its live service hit Sea of Thieves. In total, Mayles has worked on nearly 30 games over at Rare, dating all the way back to 1991 when he started with the company. So, yeah, two legendary figures in the video game space. The time has finally come to move on, to pass the torch, to essentially be pushed and bullied out of it, but still spanning a legacy in the video game landscape that helps mold and shape what video games are today. I mean, Assassin's Creed bolsters the bottom line over at Ubisoft. Banjo-Kazooie bolstered what Rare did with an original IP. Uh, and even Sea of Thieves became a hit over at Microsoft. Wild to come out, but a hit nonetheless. So, well-deserved retirement should they go in retirement, but should they also take the Kojima route and start their own studios? Well, wait and see what they have in store. All right. A couple of thoughts real quick. Still playing Digimon Story Time Strangers. If you'd like to catch me streaming that, you can find me over at twitch.tv/mediaboat. Believe I'm about a quarter of the way through, about a third of the way into the game, I want to say. I've gotten all the way up to unlocking Ultimate level Digimon. Not yet at Megas, but still working on it. And so far, having fun with the story. I do like where they're going with it. I'm kind of hesitant with the kind of design of it because while there's voice acting throughout it, there are times where the voice acting just drops out and you just have to read the text. So a little bit of hit and miss, kind of a give and take, might drop it in my ranking slightly because of that. A game that will be rising in the rankings instead will be Hades 2, as I have now gotten officially further than Matt. I've gone all the way down and defeated Kronos, and I've gone all the way up and reached Mount Olympus. I don't feel like those are spoilers because there's clearly two gates when you start the game, and even hints about that right in the beginning. But I've been conquered both up and down and all around, and now I am running through it like a mean green fighting machine. And yes, that armor is green, so technically that counts. But yeah, Hades 2, still a really good game. If you haven't played it, highly suggest that you go and pick it up. All right, we're going to go on to television section where we start with the sports corner. And we're going to start with the playoffs. No, not those playoffs. We're going to start with the NASCAR playoffs as they head to Talladega Speedway this weekend with two races left before the championship. Danny Hamlin has already secured his spot in the championship race by winning last week. So we have Talladega this week and Martinsville next week. Those two winners plus Denny, plus the highest point total will be in the top four racing for the championship on November 2nd in Phoenix, Arizona. If Danny happens to win one of the next two races, then points go to the third and fourth place. But yeah, the final season, season finale, not the final season, but the season finale of NASCAR is coming up shortly. Continuing with that playoff mentality, baseball playoffs. Well, the Mariners did it. Going through a 15 inning slugfest, they topped the Tigers in a game five sudden death match, which means they got to face the Blue Jays, where they are currently up 2-0 in that series. The Mariners are pumping. They put up 10 runs on the Blue Jays after going through 15 innings and then going to play the next game 2 days later, playing the Blue Jays and then winning that game and then winning again as they head home. Oh man, the Mariners are on the roll. The Blue Jays are in trouble. Also in trouble over on the National League side, the Dodgers barely escaped both getting into the series here with the Brewers. The Brewers barely won, beating the Cubs to face the Dodgers. And then the Dodgers barely beat the Brewers on one of the weirdest plays you will ever see in baseball. If you haven't seen this, it is a very, very weird and strange 8-6-2 double play. But also the game ended on a terrible pitch count by the Mariners. By the Dodgers, by the Brewers. The Dodgers were pitching. The Brewers guy swung at a very terrible pitch. Anyways, the winner of those two series will play in the World Series, and that begins on October 24th. So even though technically next week will be the 21st when we record, we may or may not know who will be in the World Series. Assuming the Mariners just continue to sweep and the Dodgers continue to sweep, we will know. But if they both team sweep, then they will both get a long rest because the World Series does not begin broadcasting until October 24th. What will begin broadcasting next Tuesday is the NBA as preseason continues and the season will officially begin on October 21st. And NBA history has already been made with Alex, Thanasis, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, the three brothers, are all on the same team in Milwaukee. This will mark the first time in NBA history that three brothers are on the active roster contracts with the same team. So if you remember last week, we talked about Steph and Stephen Curry being on the same team. Well, the Antetokounmpos just one up them by being all on the same team. Congratulations playing with your brothers. Now, they can all just be good enough to earn a starting spot, and they can all start. That'd be great. All right. That brings us to football, where the Tennessee Titans are the first to fire their head coach, Brian Callahan, first one to get the axe. Even though they have the one win, they decided to let their head coach go. The Jets, who are still winless, are still holding on to their head coach. For now, we'll see how long that goes. And then over in the D League, Indiana leaps to number 3 with their win over previously ranked number 3, Oregon, in a thrilling beat 'em up matchup of the game this past weekend. Oregon fell 4 spots, allowing Indiana to leap those 4 spots into the top 3. In fact, they were so good, they even ended up getting a couple of first place votes from the AP pollsters. That will do it for sports. And next, we're going to go into TV news, where, as we just talked about with video games, we get to say goodbye to an institution that has terrorized TV landscapes for years. Because in the fight between the Parents Television Council and television broadcasters, the broadcasters have won. Well, I don't know if won is the right word, but they have outlasted the Parent Television Council with the nonprofit declaring bankruptcy. The council, which was formed back in 1995 as a Hollywood outpost of Leo Brent's Bozel III Media's Research Center, asking for contributions to protest advertisers who, quote, send TV filth, vulgarity, coarse humor, premarital sex situations, violence, killings, and all the rest into American living rooms and children's bedrooms, close quote. It claimed to have driven a fourth of the 530,000 complaints to the FTC over Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction way back after the 2004 Super Bowl. And they have said to have driven away advertisers from edgy shows such as Nip Tuck and The Shield. The nonprofit officially filed for Chapter 7 liquidation in Delaware's federal bankruptcy court, where it was revealed they had about $92,000 remaining in assets. But they also had $285,000 of liabilities that they need to sort out. So while the PTC became and mainly started as a domineering conservative outlet for families, uh, they ultimately could not turn, I'd say turn profit because they're a nonprofit, but they couldn't be kept funding, especially with the type of shows that are currently out now, especially since they can't compete with streaming either. At one point, they were able to pull shows off the air and complain about when one of their biggest attack targets was Family Guy and American Dad, both Seth MacFarlane companies. And he's even come out and said as much that even though that like he sees them as a necessary uh evil in the world, he doesn't really pay much attention to them because they're not their target audience. It's up to the parents to decide what their children watch on TV. In fact, he even commented about that in the opening Family Guy section, where all you see is violence and movies and sex on TV. And here the PTC could not continue. I mean, especially once the internet kind of took over, they really could not continue with their uh, banner. Yeah, let's just call it a banner. Under their moniker, they couldn't continue fighting this anymore. All right. That brings me to thoughts. And I've got one thought on the week, and it's a doozy. So, a couple of months ago, we talked about Power Rangers and how this would be the first year without Power Rangers on TV. Well, Disney was not having any of that because while they did not purchase the contract from Netflix, where it was currently airing, they did, however, went out and purchased their own Power Rangers like show called Armorsaurus. Yes, it's exactly what you think. It's armored dinosaurs. But here's how they get around it not being a Power Rangers. Because there's no morphing grid. The dinosaurs do not connect. They're actual real life dinosaurs compared to mechanized Zords. And they put the armor around the dinosaurs in an exoskeleton type situation. So, as you can tell, it's a completely different aspect from that of a Power Rangers model, even though they have to wear specific suits, even though they fight a specific bad guy, even though there's a villain of the week, even though they make connections with their partners, even though they service as a team with all the same distinct colors of red, blue, orange, yellow, and black. It's or purple. It's very specifically not Power Rangers, but also just enough to say, yes, this is Power Rangers. And the reason I brought this up is because one, the pilot is out now. It's on Disney XD if you'd like to watch it, but it's also Disney's personal stake in it. So while they couldn't put a stake in Saban or the ownership of Power Rangers, they did put a stake in Cake, which is the Korean company that owns the Armorsaurus. And they're trying to push the Armorsaurus to help promote toys and media and video games and TV shows. So out with the Power Rangers, in with the Armorsaurus. Now here's the catch, though. This is based off a South Korean TV show of the same general name, Armored Saurus, but they just made it Armorsaurus. But that show ran in 2021 to 2023 and only consisted of 2 seasons. So what they're going to do after these 2 seasons, who knows? Who's to say? I will say, though, that if they go beyond it, they need to fix up that CG because they use CG suits and they look terrible. They make the Green Lantern suit way back then actually look good compared to what they're running now. This is clunky. This is blocky. This is not something needed for 2025. And really like cutting your thin line razor with the budget here on what they can and can't do. And it just does not look good. But to a kid, might be the best thing ever. Who knows? But yeah, Armorsaurus. Prepare to see those in a Target near you, if Target's still around. All right, that's all I watched. So let's get into cancellations and renewals. What am I no longer watching? Well, I'm no longer watching To Fly, as it has been canceled after 1 season over on Prime Video. Also canceled over at Prime Video, Countdown, again, 1 season. And also canceled, Yellow Jackets. Well, its upcoming 4th season will be its finale over at Showtime. If that does seem kind of soon, yes. In original interviews from the creator, there was supposed to be a planned 5 season arc, but they're not going ahead with the 5th season, and instead will be ending after 4 seasons, which will be upcoming in 2026. What will be renewed, though, is The Buccaneers with a 3rd season over at Apple TV. Oh, yeah, side note here. Apple TV Plus will now be becoming Apple TV. And yes, that will be confusing because the set-top box is also called Apple TV. So now you can watch your Apple TV on your Apple TV going through the Apple TV app. If that makes sense to you, you're not alone. Also coming back is Dexter, Resurrection. That gets a 2nd season over at Showtime. MasterChef gets 2 more seasons. That'll bring it to 17 seasons over on Fox. And lastly, X-Men 97 will get a 3rd season over at Disney Plus ahead of its 2nd season coming in 2026. And we have 2 deaths this week. The first one happened today. D'Angelo, age 51, singer, songwriter, best known for Lady, Brown Sugar, Untitled, How Does It Feel? And also performed on the Red Dead Redemption soundtrack. He was a 4-time Grammy winner and just a titan of the soul industry. Also, we lost Diane Keaton, age 79, actress, best known for Annie Hall, The Godfather, Something's Gotta Give, your mom's or maybe your grandmother's favorite movie. She did win the Oscar back in 1978 and will be deeply missed. Expect a loving tribute to her at the upcoming Academy Awards. All right, and that brings us now to the movie section. We start the movie section with the box office. And at number one is Tron Ares with $33 million. And I was so close. We put the line at 35. If we had left it at 30, I would have won with the over. But I had to bump it up to 35, thinking to go at least over, and got oh so edged out, which means Matt gets the point, and he goes +1 on me for this, for our box office score. All right, at number two is the Channing Tatum movie, Roofman, at $8.1 million in its debut. At number three, One Battle After Another, $6.8 million, coming to a $54 million total. At four, Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, made another $3.4 million. That's at $26 million. And rounding out your top five, The Conjuring, Last Rites, with a $3.1 million, which brings its total to $172 million. Those things just keep making money. As for your new movies this week, we have Black Phone 2, the sequel to Black Phone, starring Ethan Hawke. We have Good Fortune, which is the Aziz Ansari, Seth Rogen, um, Keanu Reeves is an angel movie. And then there is After the Hunt, uh, which stars, which is a thriller, I believe. The Io Ibadari movie. Who is she? She's opposite of oh, what's her face? Julia Roberts. That's what it is. All right. So those three will be coming up this week. Matt's not here, so we can't pick a movie or a number. So we'll go right into movie news. All right. Now, here's where I wish Matt was here because I'm sure him and friend of the show, Christy, know a great deal about this topic because I sure don't, but hey, you might soon. In a deal worth 7 figures plus, Walt Disney Studios has won an auction to acquire the rights to Impossible Creatures, the fantasy series by acclaimed British author Catherine Rundell. 2 of the 5 planned books have been published, with Impossible Creatures published in 2023, and the second installment, The Poison King, which was just released and simultaneously debuted on the #1 position on children's book charts in both the UK and the US. So far, her books have sold more than 4 million copies worldwide, and in 2024, she was awarded both Author of the Year and Children's Book of the Year at the British Book Awards. Yes, those are real awards. So, execs from Disney, Warner Brothers, and Netflix all headed to London this past summer to lay out their vision, with Rundell signing a first look deal with Disney that includes all of her current and upcoming literature properties. Rundell herself will adapt the first 2 books of the series into screenplays. So, in case you don't know what Impossible Creatures are, it's at least pitched as the next Harry Potter, which, when you say the next Harry Potter, alarm bells and money bells go off everywhere. Also, eye rolls start tumbling everywhere as everyone goes, oh, another one of these. Well, you're kind of right. So the series takes place in the world of Gilmoria Archipelago. Christopher is a human boy who stumbles into the hidden entrance of the magical world while spending the holiday with his grandfather in the Scottish Highlands. He soon meets Mal, a girl from this hidden world of magical creatures, and together they attempt to save the creatures that are suffering from a decline in the magical force that keeps them alive and vibrant. So, yes, very much magical beasts, magical fiction, magical creatures, magical realms. Um, Not so much magic per se, but the same kind of idea, kind of stumbling across of fantastic beasts and where to find them. Now, while this may be a positive note for Disney, let's pause and take a moment to remember what they did with the Artemis Fowl series, where those were very popular children's books and made a Disney Plus movie out of it, and boom, it bombed hard, both panned critically and commercially, to where the sequel was never put into motion, even though that has multiple sequel books out there to be read. So Disney's kind of making here. If they're going to pop seven figures for this after just two books, they're hoping that this is something that they own outright, similar to with the Armorsaurus, something that they have a financial stake in. That's why they're not wanting to purchase a whole lot of outside IP or partner with outside IP if they can just purchase it and make it in-house. And that'll do it on this really, really quick solo show. If you don't like my voice, and you want to hear more of Matt, you can catch all of our archived episodes over at YouTube. Just search Media Boat Podcast. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Google Play, Apple, Amazon, anywhere. We're on Facebook. Just search Media Boat Podcast. We're on Blue Sky. Mediaboat.bluesky.com. We're on Discord. Just search for Mediaboat Podcast. We're on IMDb if you'd like to leave a note. As well, if you want to just email us, we're mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to read some of our writings, you can look that up at mediaboatpodcast.com. That'll do it for me on this quick and short episode. You can catch me and Matt as we talk more movies, TV, music, and video games, more news, more thoughts, more of us next time. Okay, bye.